Hello, my name is Trex, aka AmeriKame, and I'm here to make another Vampire Savior video. Today we're going to be doing a tier list of sorts. It's not going to be about perceived strength or anything, but it's actually going to be about accessibility. This will be an accessibility tier list. Basically, how easy it is for a new player to pick up and play a character and do decently well with. Now, for this, I'm going to assume you are either brand new to fighting games or come from a more traditional fighting game background, something like a Street Fighter, more boots on the ground, not crazy high-paced action like VSav here. You might notice I'm doing a two-axis tier list. So on the x-axis, this is actually going to be execution. So difficult execution or easy execution. If you got to do a lot of hard inputs, you're going more towards the left here. If these inputs are pretty simple, you go to the right. And then the y-axis here is going to be about game plan. If you're basically just wanting to maul people and you don't have to think too much about it, you go on top. If you've got a more complex game plan that you need to get around, you go on the bottom. Alright? Now first off, I'm not ranking every character down here. There are some characters that aren't in Vampire Savior, so I'm not going to care about them, like Phobos or Pyron or Donovan. Boro Bishamon is not legal, so I'm not ranking him. I'm going to be completely honest, I don't know who this guy is, but he is not in Vampire Savior, so I do not care. Alright, let's start with an easy one. Lord Raptor, Zabel. Fuck this character. Do not play him. I really do not recommend a new player to play Zabel. This character is incredibly hard to play. He is leagues faster than pretty much anyone else on this list. You basically have to have everything he does down to muscle memory to do anything right. He plays super fast. Every single one of his normals has a use, and you need to know when to use them, and a lot of them are fringe cases. He's not air dash to win like a lot of people think. He is genuinely very hard. You need to understand, like, how to land meaty light kicks after air reset situations, doing ES guard cancels, his super confirms, all of them hard as hell. Now, he is an incredibly good character. He is top 1 in the game, so a little bit down the line, I would recommend at some point picking up Raptor, but if you're just starting off with fighting games, or if you're coming from, like, Street Fighter, this character is very overwhelming to play. I would not recommend Zabel being your first character. Now, let's go on the opposite of the end of the tier list here. Make it split here. Felica, incredibly easy to play. This is the character I would recommend anyone who is just starting Vampire Savior play with. She is fast, but not too fast. She plays at a very comfortable speed. She has a litany of good normals. Pretty much every one of her normals has something that she has some use to them, and they're not too hard to do. She has like 4 or 5 anti-air normals. She has great air-to-airs. She has really good pokes. Overall, a very solid character. She doesn't excel at too much, but she does everything relatively well. She gets instant overheads off of her dashes, and her dashes aren't super hard to do. The hardest thing you have to do with her is basically Dark Force loops with her kitty helper, which really isn't that hard. You press crouching medium punch into a DP, and you do that over and over again, and that's about it. You don't have to do any, like, raw cancels or links with her too much. Her regular chains do a lot of work. Yeah, you can optimize them by doing, like, a link into medium punch into rolling buckler or whatever the hell you want to do. But really, she is anyone's new player's wet dream. She is very, very easy to play. I'd recommend playing her if you're just picking up the game. Alright, let's go with Lei-Lei. Let's make it nice and even. Lei-Lei, I think, is basically middle of the pack here. Her movement is a little weird. Basically, her ground movement sucks. Her ground dash is slow and weird. Her ground walk is terrible. You will never see anyone walking with her, so she has to rely on air dashes a lot more than any other character in the game just to move around. But her air dash is pretty straightforward. It just goes straight. It's not too hard to do. Normals are good. Overall, she got good poking normals. She can zone a little bit with her items. She does have random items, so you have to be a little more freeform with how you play and react to what items you throw out. Kind of like if you play Guilty Gear like Faust, but it's not nearly to the extent of Faust, because a lot of her items just do the same thing. but every once in a while you get a really good item, and it'll change the way you play her. Overall, like, your inputs aren't too hard, except you have to get very good with using Tenraiha. Tenraiha is the crux of Lei-Lei's game plan. You gotta, as soon as you got meter, you're pretty much going to be using it to use Tenraiha. It's fantastic. You can buffer it through chains, it creates full screen pressure, it creates a shit ton of chip damage, a shit ton of regular damage. It's overall amazing. So, it is a demon input. It's, what is it, light kick, heavy kick, medium punch up. And Raging Demons can be a little hard for new players, but if you learn how to do it, that's basically her whole game plan, is setting up Tenraihas whenever you can. She's not too hard. She's not too easy, not too hard, not too simple, not too complex. Overall, pretty middle of the pack. Alright, let's fill in the rest here. Who should we do? Let's do the other top tier. The other top one. Sasquatch. I would say Sasquatch is about here-ish. He is not too complex on a game plan standpoint. He is basically, you maul your opponent to death with overheads and command throws, and that's about it. You do have to be very wary of air reset situations with him. He gets a lot of mileage off of air resets. Overall, his inputs, his general inputs are not hard. You get a lot of mileage off of his big-ass unga-bunga normals for footsies, and his chains, normal-ass chains, just do incredible damage. So you don't have to do a lot of hard combo inputs or anything like that, but movement for him is where it actually is difficult. Sasquatch needs... Good Sasquatch players need to be able to short hop on command at any time. And it's not the hardest input to do, but to be able to do it all the time on reaction without thinking about it is kind of hard. And you need to be able to do it multiple times in a row, chained after each other. Without that, his movement is kind of stiff. His normal dash, although good, goes very far and leaves you in the air for a while. His jump is pretty alright. His walk speed is below average. But his short hop is incredible, and it's a crux of his game plan. So you need to be able to do that. But once you are able to do that, that's basically all the execution barrier is just smashed with him. After that point, you pretty much can do whatever you want. But it will take a new player a little while to be able to do short hops consistently. Alright, where else should we go? Let's do... Anakaris. Anakaris should be about here, I want to say. Anakaris is a very unorthodox character to play with. If you play other fighting games and you come up and you pick Anakaris, you will be very confused on how to move with him. He has a very floaty jump, and he can do 3 of them. He has a triple jump, which is kind of nuts. He does not even have a neutral jump. He has like a neutral hover instead. And he can do that at 2 different heights. He is very, very unorthodox. But after a while, if you put his hands on him for too long, it's not too hard to move around with him. You learn how good his pyramid drop little dive kick thing is. He can do it at 2 different angles. It's pretty good. He has a pretty standard dash. Basically, your whole game plan is hitting people with low overhead mix-ups and rushing them down with your dive kick and waiting for smaller openings to get in. He is, I will say, he is very bad as a character. I'm not really doing tier lists for strength here, but if you're new and you want to pick up Anakaris, you are going to lose a lot with him. He is a very terrible character. He does not have the ability to push block, and his guard cancel is terrible. A lot of characters have block string infinites on him, which is not fun to deal with. So, I will say, while he's not the hardest character to pick up and learn, I would still generally avoid playing him if you're new, just because he is not good in any sense of the word. He's very terrible. But, I mean, you still can win with him. Mighty Mar is one of the best players in the US, and he has certainly shown that Anakaris can be viable at a high level. But, I mean, you gotta work. Alright, let's say, who's next? Let's do Yeah, let's do Aulbath. Fish. Fish would go maybe around here-ish. Yeah, I'll say about here. Fish is not a very hard character to play. All of his inputs are pretty simple. If you've played Guile or any other charge character of the like, that's pretty much all the special moves you're going to be doing. Maybe one DP every once in a while, but that's about it. He doesn't need to do links. He doesn't need to do any crazy combos or anything like that. His combos are basically just you do a chain, right? Sometimes you got to do a dash link with him, but that's about it. He's got a very good throw game. You can do dash up command throws and do them in either direction, and they're very strong. Overall, not too hard on the execution scale, but he is pretty hard on a gameplay standard. His gameplay is a lot about getting an opponent cornered and then throwing out water jail, his big old bubble super. So you have to be very good at cornering an opponent and then being very good at trapping people in the corner while you're setting up your bubbles, and then being able to optimize your bubble combos afterwards, where you do poison gash and then hit them with a combo afterwards, and then being able to loop that pressure over and over again. It's a little hard. There are some characters that can get out of that easier than others. Like Morrigan basically gets out for free, and Zabel gets out for free, but you gotta be able to shut down those options before they're able to do it. And then some other characters, they can guard cancel to get out if you try and do a meaty on them, or they have some other movement options, like I think Demitri can fucking bat spin out if he wants, or dash out. Something like that. But yeah, on the gameplay spectrum, he's a little harder than most, but for execution, not hard at all, really. Who's next? Bishamon. Bishamon is hard. Not as hard as Zabel, but still very, very hard. He relies a ton on links to be able to do his optimal combos. You can get by with chains here and there, but you're really dropping out a lot of damage and a lot of good Okizeme situations if you just do his standard chains. You have to be able to link his normals and then use the link normal into a special move to get good damage. He's very spacing heavy. He's got a lot of footsies he's got to do. His game plan is a lot like Fish's, where he relies you to get cornered because he has also unblockable setups, but his unblockable setups are even harder because they're very, very spacing dependent. Very hard character to play, honestly. You get a lot of good return, though. He's a good character overall, but just execution-wise, very hard, and gameplay-wise, even harder. Let's see, Bulleta. Bulleta, theoretically, is very difficult on the execution-wise, but realistically, not really. She's probably about, right in the middle of these two. She is quite possibly the most versatile character in the game. She has incredible ground speed with her dashes, forward and backwards. Really good pressure normals that all leave her very plus on block and on hit. She has good air mobility with her double jump. Above average zoning with her missiles. You can really play her any way you want, more or less. Which allows for a lot of freedom just to do whatever the hell you want, making her a lot more simple. You can't really go wrong with whatever way you're playing Bulleta. But on execution-wise, she relies a lot on dash links, doing stuff like dash basket into a link jab. She has dash link infinites, where you just keep doing like dashing medium punch, jab jab, dashing medium punch, jab jab, something like that. I'm not a Bulleta player, but it's essentially like that. And those are very hard. There's like 1 or 2 frame infinites on standing opponents. You don't have to go for those. She really does get a lot of mileage outside of that, but I mean, at a theoretical top level, that would make her incredibly hard to play. But we're not talking about top level, we're talking about accessibility at a newer level. So, a little bit easier than that. I still would say, like, learning positioning with her and learning how to get, like, dash links will take some work. But other than that, you know, pretty solid pick. You can't go wrong with picking Bulleta. Alright, who's next? Demitri. Demitri, I would say, goes about here. Demitri is as close to a Shoto as you're going to get in this game. So, if you've played Ryu before in any other Street Fighter game, you basically got it. You know? He's got DPs, he's got fireballs. His Tatsu isn't really a Tatsu, it's more of a teleport, but other than that, yeah, basically just a Ryu. His gameplay's a lot different, though. He is a very tick-throw-oriented character. He does pressure with fireballs. He has an incredibly abusable Dragon Punch. And honestly, if you know how to do a Dragon Punch, that can get you a lot of mileage with Demitri. You get out of a ton of situations. You can do pressure with it. You can do counter footsies with it. Does a ton of damage. It's a really good anti-air. Honestly, if you can DP, you're more or less good to go. I will say, though, he does rely on Raging Demon input supers, kind of like Lei-Lei. His bites, what is it, Midnight Pleasure? Yeah, Midnight Pleasure. It was his light punch, medium punch, forward, medium kick, I think? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like that. So, if you can do those, like, that will drastically increase your damage with Demitri. They honestly aren't too hard. You don't have to do them in chains, buffer them through chains or anything like that. You can do them on setup, on Okazemi, on somebody's wake-up options. That works too. So, overall, yeah, pretty easy. Game plan's a little harder because of that, I cannot speak because of those demons, but all in all, not a bad pick. Not a bad pick at all. Who's next? Wolf! John Talbain, Gallon, Wolf. Oh, I scrolled up there. You're going right here. Another incredibly easy character to play. Execution-wise, really nothing to him. Can you do a quarter circle? You're good, right? Every once in a while you might have to do a BP, but basically it's just you Beast Cannon to win, more or less. Beast Cannon is the easiest and most rewarding special move in the game to use, more or less. ESBS Cannon does a billion damage, and it is very easy to use. Any person can pick up Gallon and start Beast Cannoning and be pretty good at it. He's fast. He's faster than Felica, so it's a little harder to use him in that sense, but really, like, it's not too fast. It's not, like, blisteringly fast like Zabel. You can control him more or less. You got decent normals, but they're not as good as Felicia's, so you gotta be a little more choosy and knows your ranges and all that. His combos aren't that hard. You basically just do chains to win. He does have a demon, but it's not super useful. But yeah, very easy. I would say a wonderful beginner pick is Wolf or Felica. These would be my two top beginner picks to play. So yeah, go nuts with these. Who's next? Jedah! Jedah is a bad character, and a pretty complex one at that. Jedah does not have a sweep that knocks down. His only knockdown move is his standing heavy kick, which is an overhead, but it is very slow and cannot combo out of most situations. So his Okazemi, you have to rely on doing high-low mix-ups a lot with him, and you have to realize when you do get Okazemi situations with him, like off of air resets and for like niche knockdowns, air throws, pinwheels, stuff like that. So your game sense has to be a lot higher to play Jedah than a lot of other characters. Special moves, nothing's really all that complex to do, except for his Dark Force combos. His Dark Force is kind of like an ace in the hole for Jedah. It's incredibly good, arguably the best Dark Force in the game. And being able to control it properly is a craft in itself. There are almost no Jedah players that can do that in the West. It's like 2 or 3. Every other Jedah player I've ever met fails miserably at doing like competent Dark Force shit. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it's not that hard on the execution wise. It's just basically the Dark Force combos that's keeping him down here. Who's next? Lilith. Where would I put Lilith? I'd put Lilith maybe about here. Lilith is pretty standard. You kind of just dash at them and press buttons and you're plus frame a lot of the time. She's about frame traps and tick throws and overall just generally good pressure. I will say on the execution status, you have to be very good with doing Raging Demons. Hers is a proper Luminous Illusion, is a proper Raging Demon, you know, light punch forward, light kick, heavy punch, but it unlocks her damage. Basically, her damage isn't that great until you're able to do these on command, and after that, you can confirm any button into a Luminous Illusion, and you're doing an absurd amount of damage. Like, her damage output really shoots up if you're able to do Raging Demons on command, and be able to do them off of any confirm. So, I mean, other than that, I mean, you got Fireball and you got DP, and that's about it. She's not too hard to play on that standards. You don't have to go for a lot of links. It's just a lot of chains, and chains canceled into Raging Demons. That's about all she is. Morrigan. I'm gonna say Morrigan is basically the same as Lilith. Just maybe a little easier. Not a whole lot easier, but a little bit. She has the same kind of problem as Lilith, where you basically have to do Raging Demons to unlock damage with her. Her damage is very poor without it, but unlike Lilith, she has like a proper Fireball. Lilith is very short, but Morrigan's can go full screen. So you can do zoning with her, you can play a Fireball game. It isn't super effective in Vampire Savior. This game is not really suited for zoners, but you can do that. She gets kind of easy-baked mix-ups with her dash. Her dash allows her to do very fast instant overheads and also cross-up overheads. There are not many characters in this game that have guaranteed cross-ups, but Morrigan is one of them. It's like Morrigan, Demitri, Sasquatch. Oh, that's about it. Oh, Jedah too. Oh, and BB Hood if he can do a double jump. But that's about it, right? Yeah, Raging Demon is also important. Her ground mobility. She doesn't have like a grounded dash. A lot of higher level players will substitute a Raging Demon for a ground dash to gain space. That's a little on the higher gameplay ladder. We're not really talking about that too much, but yeah. I would say she isn't as reliant on her Raging Demon as Lilith, because hers doesn't do nearly as much damage. But you still gotta learn to use it a lot. And it will make your damage a lot higher overall. That's about it. QB. QB goes here. QB, the only thing that's making QB like a little harder to play than these characters is the fact that you have to be very good at instant air dashing. This is a trait in itself. I know I am terrible at instant air dashing. I can't play QB worth shit, but if you can instant air dash, that's the character. Her air dash is amazing. It homes in on the opponent. It tracks them. You can easily feint it and go for a low. It has like a triangle jump aspect to it. It's really, really fantastic. You can do as many instant overhead air dashes as you want out of it. But that's kind of the character. After that, like, you don't really use any of her other special moves. Use CR in punish situations, and like her command throw as a reversal because it is invincible on wake up, and during mix-ups because it is a command throw. But I mean, like, that's about it. You throw out a bubble every once in a while too. You basically just air dash to win. Kind of like how people say Zabel is, but like B's way more air dash to win than Zabel. Yeah, it's QB. What else? Oh, we basically have one more. My boy, Victor. This is my main. I love Victor. And I might be a little biased about it, but I'm gonna put him about here-ish. Maybe a little more like here. Victor is honestly not too hard to play in terms of execution. You just throw out normals a lot with him. If you can do a DP, if you can do a 720, if you can do a 360, that's about all he does. Of course, they'll go back to. But you don't do a lot of links with him. You can, and it unlocks his damage a little bit more, but you're fine just doing normal chains. Moving around with him can be a little complex just because he's so big. But he does have the turn your brain off button, which is jump heavy punch. A lot of characters can't really do with that. You have to do jump heavy. If you jump heavy punch on them, a lot of these people get fucked by that. He's kind of bad, so you gotta work harder for your wins. He is a vortex character more than a lot of other these characters. He has with his electric heavies, like crouch heavy punch, stand heavy kick, all those electric normals, he's able to force an air reset on people and get a safe jump, and he can start a vortex with that. So a lot of his game plan is based around conditioning people through that vortex to block high, to block low, to eat grabs, whatever. But like that's 90% of his game plan is that vortex, and it is a little hard to get into it and then knowing how to condition your opponent to eat whatever you're throwing at him. But yeah, that's about it. Not too hard. I know some people have problems with his electric normals. You have to hold down his normals to get the electric version, and I've talked to people, and some people find that very hard to do. I don't personally, though I've been playing this character forever, so I mean, I'm a little biased on that sense. But yeah, personally, I think he's probably about there. A little complex, but not too hard on the execution-wise. What else? Oh, before I go, yeah, why he's not, like, farther over here. I think, like, you need to get pretty good at doing, like, tick throws with him, like tick 360s and tick 720s, which a tick 720 is not easy to do. Really isn't. Like, doing jab 720, not easy. But if you do that, man, this man gets really strong. Your damage is scary at that point. I don't know, I'm gonna stop talking about Victor, just because I could go on forever, but yeah! I think that's everyone, yeah, these are all people who aren't in VSav. So yeah, that's everyone. This would be my overall ranking on the accessibility of each character. Now, take it as you will, this is just me. I'm sure other people have different opinions, but if you're new getting into Vampire Savior, take this as a general guide of who you might want to play. But yeah, that's about all I have to say. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you later. Stay free, everyone.